Welcome to the Tennessee Golden Hour. I'm Beth Moore.
And I'm Matt Tullos. How are you doing, Beth?
I'm doing great, Matt. I'm enjoying some spring weather. It's
Man,
cool. Yeah.
it's great. I love it. And I wanted to introduce you to our guest, which you may not know anything about. So
I think I might know a little bit.
you might know, actually, my tongue is definitely in my cheek as I say that because you've known each other for a long time.
Mhm.
I'm going to let you introduce, and then if you don't mind, I'll ask the first question.
That'll be great. I'm so excited to have my former pastor, Joe Sorah, from Tennessee Baptist Mission Board. But I've known Joe since I was 11 years old, and he came to be the pastor of Calvary Baptist in Elizabethton, Tennessee. And he now serves as the Strengthening Gospel Leaders team leader for the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board.
Okay, so first, I'm just going to ask you, Beth, to kind of give me some of your first impressions as an 11-year-old about this dude.
Um, he came to our church when our church was really struggling. We were really small, and also just at a crucial time in my life. I just remember he and Teresa just loving our church so well and showing me what it was to just love Jesus with all your heart.
That's great. Well, Joe, welcome.
Well, thank you, Matt. It's good to be with you and Beth.
So tell me a little bit about your journey with TBMB, how you got started here at the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board and what you're doing now.
Well, I probably do have to go back a little bit to my time in Elizabethton at Calvary Baptist Church, being Beth's pastor. Beth was the first person I baptized at Calvary back many years ago. And you noticed she said when she was 11, but she didn't say how many years ago that was.
Right.
So it's been more than a few years.
Wow.
I served as pastor of Calvary for almost 23 years. And then, particularly during my doctoral studies, really feeling a calling to move into a different type of role, to step down from as Dr. Davis always talks about, stepping down from the pastorate. And it is a step down for the pastorate, but I've really felt led to either be a director of missions, a DOM, or to work for the state convention to try to move into a role to help pastors, to help equip pastors and help equip churches. And so in the fall of 2014, answered the call to come work for the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board. And as I did, I came in a couple of different roles. I was a harvest field leader for, at that time, harvest field, I think it's actually harvest field 7, Northeast Tennessee, and also doing compassion ministry. And so I started in October of 2014 doing that role.
So, Joe, we are all affected and blessed by the Cooperative Program. What is your Cooperative Program story?
Well, my Cooperative Program story really goes back to being a preacher's kid, growing up at Calhoun First Baptist Church. Even before that, my dad was a bi-vocational pastor for the first 10 years of my life, and then we went to Calhoun First Baptist Church and met in the Men Megs Association. And my dad was one of those guys that always talked about the Cooperative Program, and not just that, he led our church to give unbelievably through Cooperative Program, over 20% out of the Cooperative Program. He and the church there at Calhoun was really one of the strongest giving CP churches in that association. It's all my life hearing about missions, hearing about seminary, hearing about state convention, SBC, just that whole picture, and hearing about that. And then so really early on, as God touched my life, calling me to ministry, I went to Carson Newman College, and there at Carson Newman College, one of our, TBC institutions, received a lot of help. Had it not been for Cooperative Program, there's no way that I would have been able to go there. But because of the support of Tennessee Baptist giving through Cooperative Program, it allowed me to go to Carson Newman as they stepped up in unbelievable ways. Don Mitchell was there at the time in church ministry relations, and Don really went to bat for me and really helped to ensure that I was able to go to Carson Newman. And a lot of that goes all the way back to Cooperative Program. And then from there on to New Orleans Seminary for a couple of degrees, and to go to Southern Seminary for my DMin. All of that is because of Cooperative Program. I would hate to think what that would have cost me had it not been for Cooperative Program. And then through the years doing mission trips, being associated with Tennessee Baptists and doing those mission trips, receiving the help that Tennessee Baptists was able to give us because of Cooperative Program. In addition to that, going work with IMB and missionaries literally around the world, and knowing that they were supported through Cooperative Program. And so my whole life has been greatly impacted by Cooperative Program. And even now for the last 11 plus years, to work for the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board, all because of Cooperative Program. So I'm eternally grateful for Cooperative Program.
So, Brother Joe, so before you were in the position you are in now, you were the Harvest Field team leader, and I know you loved doing that. And then, of course, Acts 2:17 came along, and we restructured some things at TBMB. What really led you to take this position as the Strengthening Gospel Leaders team leader?
Well, for a long time, I'd wanted to be more directly hands-on with our pastors and gospel leaders, ministry leaders. And it's not just pastors, it's also staff persons. I mean, I was a staff guy for for several different churches. And so for me, it's not just that, but I wanted to be more hands-on. How'd I help? If you've served God long in a church, you've gone through some difficulties, you've gone through some challenges. And so I've gone through a few of those kind of challenges, and there were people that stepped alongside me that just loved me through it, that helped me through it. And I wanted to pay it forward. I wanted to do that for somebody. And so it really came out of that context of wanting to help people with the same help that I've been helped. Sort of like that 2 Corinthians chapter 1. I want to be used by God to comfort those that's with the same comfort I've been comforted. And so to me, that's really the thing that really pushed me, and what this role allows me to do. It allows me to be more laser focused on trying to come alongside guys and ladies and help them as they navigate ministry. And there's a lot of things out there, and it's hard sometimes. But for me to be able to come alongside and help them was really what motivated me to want to go to leave from the harvest field, which is an area that you really help folks, but this is more specialized. And so to me, it really fit what God had brought me through.
Let me frame this conversation as we're going to have it and talk to the audience. If you're a pastor, you're going to get a lot of information in a short amount of time. So we want you to stick with this conversation because it's so important. There are so many new things that Joe is doing. And if you're a lay person, please let your pastor know about this podcast so that he can learn how we can minister and how Joe can minister through these initiatives here. And so it's going to seem like a laundry list, and we're going to go really quickly. But first of all, tell me about the special relationship that you have with GuideStone, the partnership there, and how pastors and ministers and other folks who are in ministry can take advantage of that.
Yeah, well, it really, Matt, part of that goes back to in the last year. This past year, we spent the year studying about what does minister wellness look like? What does it look like for a minister to be well? And so one of the first things that I did last year was to go down to GuideStone, visit with them. I had actually 2 different trips to GuideStone. And one of the things from their studies, one of the top areas where ministers have the most difficulty is financial stability. And so hearing that and hearing what that all looks like, if we're going to help our ministers to serve well, to be well, to finish well, they need financial stability. And so through GuideStone, some of the things that we were trying to do, so we would hope that all of our pastors and ministry staff would plan for retirement and have a retirement account through GuideStone. When you do that, if you will donate at least $50 a month toward your retirement, then you'll receive convention benefits. Convention benefits include things like disability and then a life insurance type benefit. Depending on your age, that benefit could be anywhere up to $100,000 if you're young, and if you're a little bit older like me, it might be $10,000. But at least it's a benefit. But that's free for you, and it's a convention benefit paid for you through cooperative program dollars, paid for you to supply that. But in addition to that, there's also a disability benefit where the disability benefit is available for up to 5 years, $500 a month for disability if you should need that. And so that's sort of where it starts for us. But we're also working with GuideStone hand in hand to help young ministers. So we're working with them to incentivize for younger guys to get involved and start saving early. It's really important. The average person, the average pastor doesn't even start saving for retirement until age 41, and they really miss out. You want to start young. You want to start young so that you can have the benefit of compound interest. And so we're trying to encourage younger ministers to get involved early, and there's some incentives for that. We'd love to talk to if we have folks out there that's below the age of 40. It's not that serving the Lord in ministry, and if they're not involved in GuideStone and the retirement account, would love to speak to them about those possibilities. GuideStone is also equipping our harvest field leaders and others in terms of financial design, as far as to work with churches. How do we design a financial package that best benefits the minister and maximizes those funds? And so there's just tremendous resources there that GuideStone, they're a great partner, and a lot of things on their website, a lot of things we can help connect you with, but a tremendous partner with us trying to help ministers. If financial stability or instability is one of those areas that's causing a pastor not to be able to serve well, I think we got some answers for that, at least to try to help in that area. And so it's a privilege to do that.
So, Brother Joe, TBMB also has some ways that we can support and offer ministers family aid. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yes, minister's family aid really comes in when a minister has been perhaps dismissed, from a church or things like that, or a time where they're facing an unusual circumstance where they really need some help. And so, because of generous giving, we're able to come alongside and help folks with that. There's some parameters with that, and we have all the different things as far as income that's coming in and things that must be met. But it's all laid out, and we do have the privilege of stepping up beside of a family that's going through a difficult time and helping.
I want to ask you about pastors and employment and compensation guides, just that whole enchilada of topics there. So, tell me about this Lifeway compensation study and about anything you want to say about the job board if pastors are just really praying and sensing that God is leading them to pastor somewhere else or begin pastoring. So, can you unpack that for us?
Yeah, you just asked a really loaded question. So let's unpack a few of those. So,
Okay, yeah.
Paul, compensation design. You can go to our website tmbaptist.org, and you can go to the Strengthening Gospel Leader page, and as you go to that, you'll find matters to help with financial matters. And one of those things you can do is you can go into that, and because of the Lifeway GuideStone compensation study, and the last study was 2024. There'll be a new study this year that's going to be done in the next couple of months. But you can go in and you can place in there the demographics of your church. For instance, what your average attendance is. You can find, what your average, what the undesignated funds that your church has. And so you could go in and you can find out, and you can even put in for Tennessee, or if you want to put it in for the whole Southern Baptist Convention, you can find out sort of what is the average salaries and average benefits and the top things that's out there to find out. And so for churches that might be considering, are they paying their pastor, their staff fairly? It'd be a great place for them to go look and just to compare how are we doing. And for that minister that might be looking at all that to see how he's doing, you can go to that and see for that. So compensation, if you want to find out about where how you're doing and how your church is doing, that's one place. But the job board is another place. Like if someone is feeling like that perhaps the Lord is moving them to another area. They're interested in another area. They feel like God is their time is up at their church. They feel like they've accomplished what God sent them there to do. There is opportunity to place your resume through the job board, through that resume service, and that'll be sent out not just to churches in Tennessee. We'll have folks from all around, from different states, that will ask us for resumes, and those get sent out. I just visited with a guy just this past Saturday, as a matter of fact, and he was telling me about how that he placed his name with the job board. How he's already heard from 3 churches just in a short time. So people do use that. There are people that are getting resumes and they're reaching out to people, and it's just a mechanism for God to help you. It's so that you can get your name out there, so people can find out about you. And it's just one of those things where you put it in the Lord's hands, and it's just a tool. Or if a church is seeking for a pastor, then they can go in and they can also use that job board and post their job and get the word out that there's a position available at their church. So it's just a way to help churches and ministers, all that together.
If I can just do a follow-up on that, if I'm a pastor and I put my name in there, is that going to be like seen by everybody in the public, or how does that work?
No, it will be placed in there, and then depending on the different selections that you make, it will be sent out accordingly. But it's not like somebody can go in and just pull up the whole file. It'll be more of when somebody makes an application with us to seek for a certain position and certain parameters, then depending on all that, then your resume might be sent to that church.
So, Brother Joe, I know when you are looking at minister wellness and you really kind of have these 5 areas, right? So, financial stability was one of them, and we kind of talked about that. But moving along, you also are really looking at soul care for ministers. Tell us a little bit, even what you mean by that when you're saying soul care and some of the things you're doing.
A year ago, in February a year ago, we did a study or a survey in Tennessee. We asked all of our gospel leaders about the different practices and things that the things they were doing. And one of those questions had to do with personal devotion, personal soul care, spending time with God. And as you look at all those studies and all these different areas, really across the board, it felt like about anywhere from 30 to 35% of our ministers are struggling in a lot of these different areas. And one of those areas was that whole spiritual nourishment, the whole thing of soul care, spending time each day with God and having a fruitful time, not just reading the Bible to get a sermon, but rather to spend time in relationship with Christ. And so we're encouraging. We want to see our ministers have a fruitful time with the Lord each day, time of Bible study and prayer, time that they dig into the Word. And so soul care sort of starts there. It starts with that personal time with the Lord. But in addition to that, for us, when I think about soul care, I think about when we're struggling emotionally, we're struggling spiritually, and what can we do about that? Something that Tennessee Baptist started several years ago was a program called Shepherd Care. Shepherd Care is an opportunity to see a Christian counselor in Tennessee. We have several that are approved across the state. And so it's an opportunity when somebody's struggling, maybe it's spiritually, maybe it's emotionally, but an opportunity that they can apply. And we help connect them with counselors. And so that first session is a free session. We pay all of that. And then if there is a need for subsequent sessions 2, 3, and 4, the individual just has to pay a $25 copay, and we pay the rest. And then if they should need sessions 5, 6, and 7, then those are divided equally, 50% each. But it's just a way of us trying to help people and navigate the different pressures and all the different things that's going on in their life. And so soul care it is spiritually, it's also even just emotionally, mentally, what's going on with us. So those are some of the things that's ongoing that we're doing.
I want to ask you about this email that I get every Monday. I'm excited to get it because I want to tell you, just getting the email reminds me that I got to get active I've got to get back. And hey, since I've started this, I've lost 5 pounds, 5. So it's taken me 6 weeks, but carnivore diet, the whole thing, walking. So I guess when you get older, it just takes longer. This is a serious thing. We want our pastors to be healthy. We want to use them up before they head on to heaven. So what you got going there?
Yeah, when we did that survey, we asked guys about how well they were taking care of themselves. Uh, I don't think we were surprised because it doesn't take a lot of observation skills just to look around a room of pastors and realize we might have sat down a little too long and might have eaten a little bit too much fried chicken. I'm the pot calling the kettle black. But anyway, we've looked around and seen that, and we've asked, when we asked the question about exercise and things, it just became really apparent that a lot of our guys are struggling. And so we can either ignore that, or we can condemn folks, or we can try to give them something to help them. One of the things that's always helped us in terms of that, it's always been things like accountability. So I thought about how do we do something with accountability, and I was reading about how that if an individual will exercise 5 times a week for 30 minutes at a time, that person it will help them and help them become healthier. And the truth is, what happens is you start doing that 30 minutes, and before long, you've done 40 and 45 and up to an hour. I mean, once you get into the routine of it, you find out it really helps. And so we started something called 5-4-5, which the basis of that is exercise 5 times a week for 30 minutes a time. And we're going to do that over 5 months. We'll get to see how we're doing over 5 months. The truth is, what that will do is it'll form new habits so that you'll get to the place where it'll become second nature that, hey, I need to get out and do something, need to exercise. But the accountability thing, the piece that you mentioned, Matt, when we send that out on Mondays, it does stir you to action, because when you're sitting in the lazy boy and you're watching a game or watching whatever, and you think, man, I ought to get up and do something. Well, if you're not being held accountable, it's really easy to say, I ought to, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to enjoy this. But when you think, I've got to give a report, I've got to report to somebody. And that's really the motivation behind sending those emails on every Monday. And it's funny because everywhere I go, people, they're in the program, they'll come to me and they'll want to talk about their 5-4-5, and they'll be apologetic. I know I'm not doing this and that. We don't really check on that like that. It's just a means for you to hold. It's really more of you hold yourself accountable, and it's working. And I just got a phone call just before we got on this. Somebody called and wanted to tell me about what they were doing with their 5-4-5, and tell about how much better they were feeling. And it's happening. One of our staff guys, whose mama she's not in the program. She didn't do the program, but she started the program when we're doing this, and he said, I just want you to know my mom is doing this, and she's already lost 5 pounds, but she don't even report on this. So it's impacting folks. Really, if you just exercise 5 times a week for 30 minutes, or, maybe your day doesn't work that way, but if you'll do 150 minutes a week, 150 minutes a week will help you get in a lot better shape, and you'll lose weight, you'll feel better. Well, maybe you'll lose weight. You may not need to lose weight, but you'll feel better, and you'll have more energy. You'll sleep better at night, the whole deal. And so we're really just trying to help our ministers to do those kind of things, because we need it. We need it for endurance and stamina. And so I encourage our guys to get involved and do that.
So we recently talked with Kevin Perridan, and he about camps, but also off the grid. So I know you're doing some off the grid things yourself. So tell us about what you got coming up.
Yeah, I'm doing, administer wellness. We're trying to, our goal, part of our vision is that we would have every pastor, every gospel leader connected and supported for healthy ministry. And so my motivation to off the grid really comes down to connect. We just want to connect guys. Now, there's a lot of different things you can do there, but and ultimately you've got to do something that people want to do. And so we just came up with some different ideas, trying to lock into things that guys might want to do that's a little different. And I know Kevin does a lot of the hiking and things like that. And that's great. Rock does motorcycle trips and things like that. But some of us like to do some other kind of things. And so we're trying to do some other things. And really, I got to be honest, I thought about if I'm going to do this, I want to do something I want to do. I'm a little bit selfish. And so one of the things that we're doing we've already done this. We did this last year, and we did it a few years ago. But it's going deep sea fishing in Destin, and we'll go down June 24th, and we're going to have a meal at a church there on that Wednesday night. Then we're going to go out together on Thursday and fish. We have the whole boat for our crew, and so it's going to be really fun. And so there'll be about 30 of us on the boat, and we'll fish all day. And it'll be a great time of fellowship. There's nothing like spending time with others, and you just when you spend that time, you develop friendships, you develop bonds. And so we'll do that. But the one that we've never done that sort of comes from my own past is doing a baseball trip. And so in August 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, we're going to do a baseball trip for guys who want to go and see baseball games in 3 different parks. We're going to go to Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. And we're going to see baseball games there. But an additional thing we're going to do there is we're going to meet with some of our church planters in all 3 of those are send cities. And so we're talking to church planters with the Send Network. And they're going to meet with us there. They're going to talk to us about how we could potentially partner with them and to do ministry. So there's going to be a lot of great benefits from that. We're going to spend a lot of time together. We're going to see some baseball. We're also going to hear how God might want to take us back to those cities to do some things. So that is going to be an unbelievable trip. We're looking forward to that one. And then another couple of things that we do in relationship with both of our conference centers is we will do a couple of different golf outing type trips with them where we'll go and spend 3 days at Carson, then in late September, then early in October, we'll do 3 days at Linden Valley. And so we've got some really good stuff. Just depends on sort of what interests you, what you like. And if none of those things interest you, I'm sure there's other things that Kevin's got. But, ultimately, we want guys to get away and take a little bit of a breather, take a little bit of a break, and get to know some other ministers. And just it's not so much we're going to go and talk all about ministry. My experience has been sometimes you talk a little bit about it, but really you talk about life, or you just go and enjoy it. And there's nothing wrong with just getting away and enjoying being with some other guys and getting to know them. There's a lot of strength and power in that. One of the things when we did our discussion things last year is we heard so many people say, just get us together. Just get us together. So I'm just trying to get you together. And we get you together, you'll form new relationships, friendships. You'll find out there's some folks out there that you didn't even know, but you have all these things in common, and you're going to form new friendships. So those are some of the things we're trying to do with our Off the Grid. A little different, but can't wait. Think they're going to be great.
So another thing that is really exciting coming up is something that you've been working on for a few months now, and it's these ministers' nights out. Tell us about that.
When we talk to ministers and then we talk to their wives, one of the things we heard about the unique challenges of ministry families. And while our ministers have these opportunities to get together, such as Off the Grid and things like that, for a lot of our minister wives, there's not really that opportunity to get together with other wives. You have pastors' conferences and all those things, but the opportunities for minister wives to get together is just not as frequent. But also to get together for an opportunity to talk specifically about the pressures that we face and the different things that we go through. So as we heard about that, what I thought about is, we got to get them together. And so we came up with this thing where we're going to do 6 ministry couples night outs. And we're going to do those in May, and they're going to be all across the state. So we're really encouraging folks to look at that schedule, find one that's close to you, or find the one that the date works. You might say, well, I want to go across the state somewhere else. That's fine. You pick out the one that works for you. It doesn't have to be the closest one to you. Pick out the one that works for you and come and attend it. The evening will start at 6 o'clock with a meal. Then after the meal, we're going to have just an absolute ball. We're going to have a great program with a lot of fun. There'll be some videos, there'll be some skits, there'll be a really fun game that we're putting together, and then there'll be a panel discussion at the end of the night. A panel discussion where we will have local pastors and their wives will form the panel to talk about how do they cope with ministry and how they cope with the different things that they have to go through. We envision the night that it'll end with just a sweet time of prayer together. But we hope that folks will come. It's going to be a lot better if you'll come join us. And so we want you to come join us and pick one out. Take, all across the state, just pick one out that works for you. You don't have to come to the one that's closest to you. You can come to whichever one that works. So pick out a date. You can go on our website. We're going to be sending out emails. But pick out a date that works for you in May. And we hope to see ministry couples from all across the state show up in May at these night outs.
That sounds great, Brother Joe. And as you mentioned in that panel discussion, really talking about the difficulties and the stresses of being in ministry, one of the last things that you're focusing on is genuine relationships, and how important that is. Why is that one of the areas of focus for you, and what are some of the things that you're doing?
It's really important that you don't feel all alone in ministry. When you get isolated, that's when we find ourselves getting in trouble. I mean, biblically, you find that true. And even Jesus, when he sent his disciples out, he sent out the 12, 2 by 2, sent out the 72, 2 by 2. We're never meant to do ministry alone. But if when we're alone, we become like, Elijah. We get depressed, we get overwhelmed. We feel like, it's me. And we need others. We need other ministers. We need friends. We need folks in our lives. So there's strength in it. Solomon, he messed up a lot of things, but even Solomon understood that two are better than one, and the strand of three cords is not easily broken, and how we need each other. And there's strength from that. So some of the things we're trying to do in those kind of areas is really encouraging cohorts and communities, and we've really encouraged local associations to have different types of cohorts. To me personally, it doesn't matter so much exactly what you do in your cohort, but just get folks together, have them in relationship. God will bring about good things to those kind of things. So we're seeking to see associations do more local cohorts where groups meet together, and we're seeing that. I've heard several directors of missions talking about the kind of things they're doing and the strength and the power that comes from that. But in addition to that, we are trying to do some things where we have communities, and those are more like online presence. And so we're seeing some online communities forming, and we've had some really good feedback on some of those that we could talk about. But it's just really important that we get folks together for support, and that's part of our vision, that they would be connected and supported for healthy ministry. Support, it comes to that connection as we try to connect ministers with each other. There's a lot of power and strength that comes from it.
So, Brother Joe, these communities and cohorts, obviously your focus is a lot on pastors and our pastor wellness, which is super important. But I do believe there's a ministry cohort for women in ministry that are serving in different capacities as well.
We're really fortunate. Tika Scholes she joined us in one of those meetings last year that we were having, and as we were throwing out at each of those meetings, if there's something that you're interested, ways that you'd like to serve with us and help, let us know. And so she indicated a real interest to form a women in ministry online community, and that group is meeting now every month. They're studying a book together. I'm on their email chains, and I hear all kind of great things from the emails. And but a really strong group that's already meeting, and we're hearing nothing but positive things there. So God's really working through Tika and the women in ministry community, and we couldn't be more excited about what God's doing there.
So there's the women in ministry cohort, and of course we're working with pastors, but are there others?
Sure. We have other folks working with us. Dr. Davis's wife, Jeannie Davis, works with us with minister wives. And so they have their own Facebook group, and then they have different meetings that they have, particularly each year at the summit. And so Jeannie Davis is really working with ministers' wives. And also, Pat Brown is working with us in a very unique group. She's working with us with widows of ministers, giving support to them, and they meet also through Facebook, and they have a Grief to Grace group that they meet with. But those are two particular groups of more volunteers. But we also have a couple of guys that are working with us in a part-time manner. Roger Britton works with us in bi-vocational ministry. Roger oversees I would say it's the largest gathering of bi-vocational ministers probably throughout the whole Southern Baptist Convention. But they have their annual meeting each year, their annual retreat in January of each year in Pigeon Forge. This past year was a little tough year because we had the ice storm, and then even the retreat itself ended with a pretty big snowstorm. But still, you're looking at 300 folks showing up. You're looking at 150 couples, even more than that, showing up for that and receiving support. And then he goes to different associations and he has a banquet, bi-vocational banquet throughout the state and all across Tennessee. So it's really good stuff. And then we have Brian Carmichael working with us with African American pastors and black churches, and doing a tremendous job. Brian just finished up this past weekend over a conference for our black churches and their leadership, and just a marvelous time together with great preaching, breakout sessions, and Brian is doing just a tremendous job. He also hosts each month. He hosts an online community of our black pastors, and so just really excited for all those kind of folks helping. And then a third guy that's helping us part time, working with ministry in the ministry area, is Wayne Causey, working with worship leaders and giving great leadership to that. Wayne's got that thing functioning like a machine, man. They got worship cohorts and groups all across the state, just doing a tremendous job ministering to those that are leading us in worship ministry. So I'm really fortunate. We've just got some of the best folks you're ever going to find working with us, helping us to help ministers to stay well. And that's our goal. We want our ministers to serve well so they finish well. We want all our ministers that when that day comes for the Lord to be able to say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's what we want to hear.
Mm. Brother Joe, you're leading out. You're not doing it all. You're leading, helping provide guidance for all these different areas. For anybody who might be listening, what would be the easiest way for them to find out more information about all these things that we've talked about?
Yeah, I would go to the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board website, tnbaptist.org. And when you go there, you'll just scroll down the first page. You'll see the Gospel Leaders tab. You can tap on that. You can find out about the strengthening part, also the multiplying part that Josh Franks is leading us. But the best way to find out more is to go to our website.
And if you're a layperson and you've listened to this entire podcast, I want to just challenge you to share this with your pastor or your women's leader, any kind of minister who is looking for guidance. And I know that Joe's always open for a phone call as well. So
absolutely. Yeah.
great. Thanks so much, Joe.
Thank you.